I am at the Garden of the Gods, and it is a snowy, rainy, cold day here in Colorado Springs. I'm checking out the geology of this area, and we want to look at several things. Now, the biblical historical account gives us insight as to what we would expect to find in the geologic record, the rock record all around the world. Now, the first key is found early on in Genesis, when it says that God made dry land to rise above the seas. So this dry land, or originally created continent for the most part, would be expected to be fused rocks formed from the minerals, the basic minerals of the earth. Well, in the lower levels of geology, sure enough, we find rocks that have been metamorphosed. The beautiful and colorful granites, the crystalline shimmering schists, all of these rocks, the ground floor, the basement on which sedimentary layers are then laid. Now, the next key is found in the historical account of the flood that took place thousands of years ago. The flood would have eroded and then deposited sediment all over the face of the basement rock. So what do we find on top of the basement granites? All sedimentary layers, just like we would expect. Several miles thick, I might add. Not only that, but there is a clear, stark line that separates the two types of rocks. That's something that we wouldn't typically expect if the Earth formed purely by naturalistic forces. Now, I've seen this line in many places on planet Earth, but I've heard that this clear contact or boundary can be seen not too far down the road. So it may take a little bit of exploring to find, but let's go check it out and see what we can discover. Right now I'm just outside of Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we can see the Great Unconformity yet again. We've looked at it in the Frenchman Mountains. I've explored it down in the bottom of the Grand Canyon, but we see this same feature again with sandstones sitting directly on top of granites. Here it is again in Colorado, near Colorado Springs. You have Pikes Peak granite overlaid by Sawatch sandstone. Now, the labels are different. In the Grand Canyon, it would be Vishnu basement rocks and granites overlaid by Tapete sandstone. It's the same features with different labels attached to them. From a secular perspective, great unconformities like this represent missing years, sometimes billions of years missing between these two layers right here. Now, that's hard to explain from a secular perspective unless somehow those layers were washed away over vast areas. But in the biblical perspective, what we're seeing here, if we interpret this from a global flood deposition, this sandstone was laid down and it was the first to be preserved during the global flood of Noah's day. You can clearly see the difference. This reddish granite is what composes all of this material, and it stretches all the way around me, and you can see it many other places throughout here. It's all below us. And this Sawatch sandstone starts right here, and it goes up and up and up. This granite is found near Pikes Peak, so it's named Pikes Peak granite. The granites found at the bottom of the Grand Canyon are typically assigned a different label, but it's the same basement rocks. Right now my finger is touching the contact, the unconformable contact, the great unconformity, yet again here in Colorado, that supposedly represents vast amounts of geologic time. The layers on top are all sedimentary. Sedimentary means that they were transported there, that they were laid down there at a later date than the rocks below. Now, many secular geologists would point to vast ages between each layer. They would say that millions upon millions of years have passed in a supposed 4.5 billion year history of the Earth. But what we see here is sedimentation. That's all. No dates are ascribed to these rocks. No labels are found on these rocks telling us how old they are. In fact, sedimentary means that it was transported in. Most scientists would agree that most of the sedimentary layers were transported in by water. How much water? It seems to be pointing to a catastrophic amount of water that laid down miles of sediment as layers all around the world, and that's exactly what we find here in Colorado. all of the geological features that we have explored so far fit perfectly with the historical records found in the Bible. Coincidence? I don't think so. I'm David Rives, on location in Colorado. Truly, the heavens declare the glory of God. Like what you're seeing? Want more? Be sure to hit the subscribe button to be notified as soon as we put up new videos and content.